This week on Instant Experts, WhatsApp Doc, White House morons accidentally CC the world their war plans.
Hey, we're thinking of bombing the shit out of you, Henry. How's our 2 p.m. Saturday sound?
Oh, so it's great, Honk.
Yeah, cool. Lock it in.
Washington 90210, our update on romance in the White House.
This is the steamiest story from the White House since Trump fucked 38 million Ukrainians. Got to be.
And in sport, a good week for the West Tigers, but a bad week for George Foreman.
Yeah, very bad. Please, little respect for the great man, please.
Welcome back to Instant Experts, all the latest news explained by idiots. Here to keep you sane in a crazy world. I'm Henry Lee, and as always, I'm here with my dear friend, The Honk. Honky, welcome.
Henry, a pleasure to be back with you. This is a show, as we always say, about crooks, fuckwits and morons. And, it's just, we can't keep up. We say it every week, can't keep up. Every time we think we're out, they pull us back in.
It's absolutely exhausting. There's a new high or a new low every week, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, the good news is we have a lot of material again this week. The bad news, we are clearly witnessing the end of the free world.
What was your highlight this week, Honk?
Well, look, we often start with, something to do with US politics. I wanted to start with something more positive this week, which is, I really want to talk about our listeners, a shout out to our listeners. Moose, a man by the name of Moose in Clermont-Ferrand in France, Julian here in Sydney, and especially to a new listener, Pete from Washington, D.C. He was kind enough to get in touch to tell us, quote, "Hey guys, we invade Tehran in 2 hours to light up some towel heads, then we're going to hit the chopper, then we're going to renovate a rendezvous in the Turkish whorehouse at midnight for some cheeky BJs." Oh, actually, I'm not sure we were actually meant to read that, actually.
Well,
sorry about that.
Speaking of Pete from Washington, D.C., Signal Gate is clearly the story of the week, and we will get to that. But first, some genuine shout-outs to instant experts around the world. All over Australia, Traralgon in Gippsland in Victoria, new listener.
Hello.
Jordan Springs, a regular, just near Penrith in Western Sydney.
G'day.
A few Kiwis in the chat, Auckland and Christchurch in.
Hope you like the show brew. Is that too rude? Is that too rude?
We made our debut in Brazil, in São Paulo.
I do love a Brazilian.
I've always found them a little bit painful myself.
Yeah, fair enough.
In Europe, Naaldwijk in South Holland, Madrid in Spain, and a few places in France, Paris, Seville and Saint-Émilion. And the Moose, as you mentioned. The UK, all over London, Islington, as in the Angel Islington in Monopoly. One of the light blue set I used to always like buying up.
Yes.
Hove in East Sussex, not far from Lancing College, where I did a gap year back in the 1800s. And in the US, of course, we've got a loyal listener in Cumberland, Maine.
Hello.
A new listener in Logan, Utah.
Wow.
And plenty of listeners in and around LA. So Long Beach, Santa Monica, Redondo Beach amongst them.
And they're all coming in still, these listeners. We just got another text from, this one's from someone called Hegseth or Hego in Washington. He just said, quote, "Hey guys, about to blow up some in Gaza, Jack Daniels in the fridge, come over." Oh wait, actually I'm not sure. I think that may have been sent to us in error again.
It might have been Pete from DC.
Yeah, sorry.
Coming on back.
I feel some apologies for next week already.
Indeed. Normally we go to apologies for last week now, but actually last week's show was surprisingly error-free.
That we know of.
That we know of. There was only a little apology to the fan who wanted the Hawaii 5-0 theme, not Magnum PI. And I have to say it was a photo finish.
Well, except to say there's just nobody in the world who's ever wanted to bone Jack Lord, though. Was there?
Yes, they did want to bone Alex O'Loughlin, the guy who starred in the remake.
Oh, yeah. Our Alex.
Aussie Alex.
Like
exactly.
our Pam Bondi from last week. Our Alex is an Aussie.
He's a genuine Australian.
He is.
So a major apology is to those who are only catching the show right now. That means you weren't on the Signal version we accidentally leaked last week.
Indeed, yes.
The Kremlin, however, quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, Vlad turns out, Vlad in the Kremlin's a huge fan of Musk. Now Vlad can't believe. He can't believe, yeah.
Now on with the show. So as boxing fans, we know it's rare to have an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But this week there is no dispute about the biggest story. And we're not talking about the death of George Foreman. We'll get to that. We're
not talking about that, no.
We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
But for sheer incompetence, we just can't go past the US group chat scandal.
Look,
it's a corker.
I don't even know where one starts. Everyone's talked about this. I'm sure our listeners know the story, but let's quickly recap the posterity show. It's just too fucking stupid not to talk about. Basically, the fucking idiots in the US government managed, number one, they were doing a group chat, which they said was not war plans. It clearly was war plans about a proposed, was it a military attack on the Houthis in Yemen?
In Yemen, yeah.
Yeah, and they managed to include in their top secret chat on a Signal chat, which they were not meant to be on because this is top secret military stuff. They managed to include a fucking journalist. The journalist was in the chat for a few days ended up
Signal,
getting...
by the way, is an encrypted messaging service provider that's used by journalists quite often.
Yes, indeed. So he actually
and
thought
also
it was...
coke dealers.
And coke dealers, everybody else, for people having affairs, whatever, I wouldn't know.
Exactly.
But this journo was in the chat for a few days. He ended up getting... He thought it was a hoax until he worked out he was getting 2 hours' notice of an attack on Yemen.
Yeah. And so who else is on the chat?
Marco Rubio was there, wasn't he? Secretary of State.
Yeah, still in his professional coma, but he was on there anyway.
BJ Vance, the Vice Prostate, was there.
Tulsi Gabbard, favourite of mine, Director of National Intelligence.
Yes.
And a noted Putin fan.
Yeah. Well, you've referred to her as...
She has been described by others as quote-unquote Russia's girlfriend.
Yes.
And, of course, the drunkard, the cheat, the embezzler, and good friend of the show, Pete Hegseth, Pete from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so the journalist eventually worked out this was not a joke, was not a hoax, pulled out of the chat, although it's been brilliantly described, the whole thing, by Rachel Maddow from MSNBC, referred to it as, hasn't she called it Chat GOP?
Chat GOP,
yeah. Brilliant. So they added this journalist from The Atlantic, Goldberg.
And he was included. So he had 2 hours advance notice of the attack on Yemen, and which he was professional enough not to disclose. And once the attack happened, I think he was sitting in a car park and he realised it was for real. And then the responses started coming in from all the chat users. So Mike Waltz, who was the national security guy, put Goldberg in the chat, responded with a fist, an American flag, and a fire emoji.
People,
Steve
honestly.
Witkoff, who we didn't mention, he's President Trump's Middle East and Ukraine negotiator, who was actually in Russia at the time. Talk about hacking central. He was in Russia at the time on the chat, busily failing to extract concessions from Putin. He responded with 5 emoji, 2 hands praying, a flexed bicep, and 2 American flags. And the good old Tulsi, 3 Russian flags and an eggplant. I don't know what that was about.
I'm not sure. And then a mouth and a whole lot of waves coming at it. I'm not sure what that was about.
So, Honky, this appears to be a gross lack of competence and professionalism. Why is it a problem?
Well, look, much greater minds than ours have explained, publicly as journalists before why this was, when this happened to Hillary, with Hillary allegedly using, her private email server.
Yeah.
There were people pointing out this is a huge exposure of the United States national security to blackmail, to intrusion and so forth, to compromise. And, people were, prominent journalists were calling for Hillary to be sacked, arrested, jailed. None more so than Pete Hegseth.
Pete from DC.
Yeah.
And so when he was presented with the same offence, what was his reaction?
Well, his reaction was to say it wasn't war plans, even though it named the place, the time, the people they were attacking, what they were going to do to them, and what time it was going to happen.
Which I think they've subsequently explained were their attack plans, not war plans.
Yeah, of course. I see the
totally different.
Subtle distinction.
Completely different.
By the way, so kudos to the journalist. I mean, the journalist saw this and he initially pulled out of the chat.
Yeah, we wouldn't have done that.
Well, we still are, aren't we? We're still
in
this
the
is
chat.
how we know all about it.
Exactly.
But, I mean, look, the bottom line is this. This is the chickens coming home to roost, right?
A few other people have joined it as well. Have you noticed that? There's a guy called G.
Yeah.
There's a guy called...
Vlad. There's Imam somebody.
Who's the North Korean guy again?
Ayatollah somebody. Someone's come. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know. He's a friend of Pete's possibly. But, I mean, this is the chickens coming home to roost. These are people with no government experience.
Is Luke Sayers in the chat?
I don't think so.
I can feel a Pete Hegseth dick pic coming on.
He may well
being leaked to the world.
He may well be.
Can you imagine the horror?
But I mean, these people have no government experience, so they don't even know they're not meant to use Signal. If anyone in the
possibly
government,
a picture of Stephen Miller's head,
yeah, possibly
he bears a striking resemblance to a penis.
That's true. But I mean, these people. This is, as I said, this is chickens coming home to roost, right? These are people who don't know they're not meant to be using Signal. If anyone in the Trump White House, in the government, tells them they're not allowed to, they refuse to pay attention to it. And if anyone pushes the point, they get fired, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a complete... I mean, to your point, if you were China or you were Russia, Iran, North Korea, you'd be like, stand down the invasions, the assassinations, like, these people are going to kill themselves.
Yeah, and we're going to get 2 hours notice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but to your question about what did Pete Hegseth do, the strategy is cruelly cretinous. The strategy is, the journo is a well-known hack and a crook, and you can't listen to a word he says, and he's a fucking loser, and The Atlantic is a failing publication.
Right, so the journo's fault he got added to the chat.
So number one is the journo's fault, but number two...
Sounds like Ukraine getting invaded.
Number two, if he's such a fuckwit, why did you guys add him to the fucking chat? And also, by the way, it also doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the guy's not the editor of The Atlantic. The guy's the editor of, like, Child Molester Monthly. I mean... Who gives a shit? The guy, you guys added him, for fuck's sake. I mean, and also the other thing was they kept goading the guy, calling him a loser.
I've got a feeling the editor of Child Molester Monthly might be a member of the Republic.
It's entirely possible. Well, he will be running for office soon, surely. Yeah. But I mean, he also, these guys had to know that this guy had the whole chat, right? He withdrew from the chat.
Yeah.
He clearly had it all, and they kept goading him until eventually they called him a liar enough times. He decided he had no choice but to actually publish the full chat. Like, what is the strategy?
What a bunch of morons.
Oh, and the other bit of the strategy I love is they try to distract everybody by saying, it's not as bad as when Biden was in office, which may work as a distraction, except for the fact they're so fucking stupid. The strategy of distracting people by talking about Biden is in the chat.
I just love that they're blaming Biden. I mean, can't they just go back further in time and blame JFK or
Lincoln? Lincoln's fault.
Exactly.
Lincoln.
The one that
Millard Fillmore.
The one that tickled my fancy, apart from the complete incompetence, was who they're getting to investigate the screw up. So they haven't admitted the screw up, but they're getting investigated. And who's in charge? Mike Waltz. Now, that would make sense because he's a national security advisor, except that he is literally the guy that added Goldberg to the chat. So he is investigating himself. He said, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Where have you heard that before, Hunky?
OJ. OJ. So this is like OJ vowing to find his ex-wife's killer. It's like...
He didn't have to look very far.
Well, it's like Lee Harvey Oswald, looking into
it. Woke up one day and looked in the mirror.
Yeah, but it's like Lee Harvey Oswald, being appointed by the government to look into the JFK assassination and come out and say he's confident there was only one shooter.
Yeah, correct.
Like Hitler. Is Hitler going to be confident he's going to find that the Holocaust didn't happen? I mean, what?
I'm sure Mike Waltz will give us a full report any day now.
But also, he's not even the only guy. You know, the other thing, they've also, the classic White House remember how for a while there was going to be Elon and another guy who were going to look into government efficiency at the White House?
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy. So now there's two guys. There's Mike Waltz, who, as you pointed out, is the guy that whose office added Goldberg to the chat. But apparently Elon Musk is also, like the guy hasn't got enough problems. The guy's got 14 fucking kids. His cars are on fire. His own company's trying to replace him as CEO. He's trying to find savings in the government. He's so far found none except for ones that are wrong. And it turns out most recently there is a $1.4 billion shortfall in the accounts of his own company, Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was in the rocket. I reckon the cash was in the trunk of a rocket.
Yeah, must be. But I mean, they clearly need 20...
all over the Gulf of Mexico. So what's the solution here, Honk? They shouldn't have been using Signal. What technology are they supposed to use?
Well, it's interesting you ask this question because, you have these terrorist groups now that rather than go high-tech, they go low-tech.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the answer with these guys. The relations with Israel are really good now.
Yeah, well, they've got the best defense and intelligence tech in the world, don't they?
Yeah, but they're also really good at, maybe Israel should supply these guys a pack of those special, pages. The special. Yeah.
Well, that would do the world a favour.
It would.
Okay, we'll keep moving. A little bit more American carnage, but very quickly. Trump having problems with the auto pen again this week.
So we talked about this last week, I think it was in the show, that Trump was asserting that all of Biden's pardons right before he left office were invalid because Biden had apparently signed them with an auto pen and may not have known what he was signing. And then when this scandal broke about the
Venezuelan gang members, quote unquote.
Yeah, deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador.
Turns out includes a hairdresser and that's got nothing to do with the gang.
Yeah, and a guy with a... What was the thing?
His tattoo was like a supporter of an autism charity.
Yeah, because he's got a brother who's autistic.
Right.
And by the way, in that particular case, ICE cleared that guy, and then they deported him anyway.
Right.
So Trump's come out now, despite having said that Biden's pardons are invalid because he used an auto pen. Trump has now said he has no idea how this deportation order was signed because he didn't sign it, because somebody used an auto pen.
Shocked and frankly disgusted. Fun. What I'd like to see is the gang members put the hat around, and each put in $5 million and get a golden ticket back to the US.
Oh yeah, what's the golden ticket thing again?
You pay $5 million to become a citizen. So
is that a thing they're doing?
Just think about all the people who've got $5 million in cash to become a US citizen. Do you reckon drug dealers would be pretty right up there, pretty high up the list?
Which is, by the way, how the guys they've deported are not drug dealers, right? Because none of them have got $5 million cash hanging around.
Exactly, problem solved. All right, keep moving. Cash Patel. He hasn't got much of a run on this show. He's feeling a bit left out.
The director of FBI with no experience in law enforcement.
No, he was a prosecutor. He's never worked at the FBI before. He's the first director of the FBI, has never worked there. And he was boasting this week very excitedly that they'd arrested 3 of the FBI's 10 most wanted in his first 4 weeks on the job.
Yeah.
And he said that, and his big, pitch for office all over again was they hadn't arrested any of the 10 before.
Isn't that how the fucking 10 most wanted FBI list? I mean, how dumb?
If you've been arrested, Cash, you're not in the 10. You don't start with 10, arrest 3 and go to 7.
No.
You just put 3 more in, dummy.
Is he shocked that it's gone back to 10?
He's shocked it's still at 10.
Yeah.
He's confused about why.
Well, that's deep state. That's deep state. That's the inefficiency. State. That's what you need Doge for. That's
exactly.
what you need. Cut the number of people
on the... Take 30% out of the top 10, make it a top 7. And the one I loved the most this week was Trump, who we've said previously mixes the, fucking up the world with the most petty shit imaginable.
Yes. Oh, this is a good story.
This one, he got upset with the portrait of him that hangs in the Gallery of Presidents in the state capitol building in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And here's his tweet. Nobody likes a bad picture or painting of themselves, but the one in Colorado in the state capitol put up by the governor along with all the other presidents was purposefully distorted to a level that even I, perhaps, have never seen before.
Oh, God.
The artist also did President Obama, and he looks wonderful. But the one on me is truly the worst. She must have lost her talent as she got older. Anyway, it goes on in that style.
Yeah, but although the one bit that's worth putting out from the rest of it is that he's not upset about it. He said, quote, many people from Colorado have called and written to him to complain.
In fact, they're actually angry about it. I'm speaking on their behalf to the radical left governor, who is extremely weak on crime, in particular with respect to Venezuelan gangs.
But I love the fact that...
which practically took over Colorado.
I love this bullshit, but I love the fact that he's not upset about it. People have been... remember how a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, that he's been told he's the most successful president in US history? Wasn't that right?
Correct. Now, I've looked at the portrait, and to me, I think it is pretty ugly.
It's not good.
But it does bear an uncanny resemblance to Trump.
It's like if you see a bad photo of yourself, you go, well, fuck, I really need to hit the gym, quit the beers, go for a walk. His attitude is it's a conspiracy by the deep state of Colorado.
Trumpy, what were you expecting? George Clooney?
But also, we've got a bit of difference. He said that Obama looked fine. I don't think Obama looked that good. To me, Obama looked... He
looked pretty good to me.
He looked...
In any event. All right, enough with the politics. Let's talk romance.
This is a nice story. There is, for all the horror in the White House, there is romance a-brewing.
Yeah, it's not all work and no play. Tiger Woods.
Yeah, he's back.
The GOAT, the golfer, is dating Vanessa Trump.
Oh, in this case, he's the GOAT in both senses, right?
Yeah, he's taking out the one word again. Now, Vanessa Trump, for those keeping score at home, is Don Jr.'s ex-wife.
Yes.
So they had 5 kids together, divorced in 2018. Yeah. So
she left him. I like her already.
She was smart enough to bail out.
Yeah. But Tiger says, if you listen to what he said, I mean, we're because we're still on the chat, we're getting all the signal chat.
We're in a lot of chats now. Yeah.
So Tiger says this is it. He says he's never known such excitement. Whenever he's with her, he feels like alive. He feels like he's wide awake. But that may not be love. That could be because she might be still sort of radioactive with cocaine residue from being married to John Jr., right?
Like passive smoking.
Yeah.
Tiger, of course, has been married before. He famously had his car attacked by his then-wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club when she discovered all his mad rooting around the world.
Indeed.
She was like a sort of a Democrat in a Tesla dealership, basically. And he was rooting porn stars, waitresses, you name it. So, anyway, it's a case of sloppy seconds for Tiger and sloppy 10,000s for Vanessa.
Yes, indeed. But, I mean, we did talk a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, about, the Trump White House bringing back plastic straws, weren't they? Bringing back plastic straws?
That's right, instead of paper.
We were concerned about sort of the environmental impact.
Yes.
But this says a reverse of policy, doesn't it?
Yes, well, it is an admirable and unexpected commitment by the White House to recycling.
Yeah.
All right, and the other big story in romance is the second lady, Usha Vance.
Yeah.
Visiting Greenland.
This is a weird story.
It's a weird story. It was positioned as a friendly visit. This is the country America's trying to take over.
Yeah.
The Danes and Greenlanders didn't quite see it that way.
But we see it a different way, right?
Yeah, we think it's trouble in paradise.
Yeah. So just take everyone through your theory on this.
Well, Usha Vance is married to JD Vance, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem already.
Yeah, indeed.
Clearly she hasn't been sexually satisfied in years.
Yeah.
Her main love rivals are Donald J. Trump, hence BJ Vance, and a couch.
Yeah,
basically.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, as you said to me before you started recording, she had a choice between, being in bed with JD Vance or waking up in a frozen wasteland, and she chose the wasteland.
You probably couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So I reckon she was looking forward to a couple of nights alone in Greenland.
Having a territory invaded, you reckon? Having her territory invaded.
By whom?
By Eric the Viking. Eric the Viking.
It's a strong and...
Yeah. So our theory is that, and this is confirmed by the chat that we're now accessing, that JD found out about the secret plan to have the territory invaded by Eric the Viking, so he invited himself along.
He did, yes, and he sent a tweet about it, which is very, very naff, even by his low standards.
Yeah.
And it said, quote unquote, there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, so I'm going to join her.
But is he? What's he into? Is he into Usha or is he into Eric the Viking?
Oh, controversial.
Well, what he said also was he's in the Signal chat. He said the US position is clear. He said Eric the Viking must stand down from this territorial invasion plan, and if he won't, Vance has got no choice but to invade from the rear. It's not clear to me if he's talking about Usha or Eric the Viking. It's a mystery.
Oh dear me.
Anyway, either way, it's going to be romantic.
Now, in entertainment news, Mel Gibson, Aussie Mel, our Mel, brackets,
God help us.
We don't want him, close brackets, is finally making the sequel to The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I find this a bit strange, but hang on, the main character, I'm a Jew, I don't really know the Christian text that well, but didn't the main character in Passion of the Christ die at the end of the first movie?
I know you checked out at the end of the Old Testament.
Clearly.
The movie is literally called The Resurrection Honk.
Right, so he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Right.
I think that's the idea. Yeah.
But I love the fact that, that the last movie was notoriously incredibly anti-Semitic. It revived the old trope that the Jews killed Christ, had all the Jewish characters running around with these big fake, rubber fake noses. But now, Mel's one of these guys that Trump's sort of invited to sort of de-wokeify Hollywood.
Right.
So if that movie wasn't bad enough, now he's trying to sort of... Now he presumably feels like even more liberated to sort of de-wokeify the story. Yes. I mean, the first one was The Passion of the Christ. What's the second one going to be called? It's going to be called Fuck the Jews. Is that what it's called? Like, what's the plot? Like, Jesus, like Rambo, like on a mission of revenge, like hitting up, like crashing into delis, golf courses, dental surgeries, mob-mannered accountants to kick some kosher ass.
Yeah. Has he got a sidekick?
He's got to have a black sidekick, doesn't he?
Yeah,
who would it be?
Yeah, surely Kanye.
Got to be Kanye.
Raging anti-Semite.
And the final boss, like, it's not Rockefeller, not George Soros. It's got to be like, it's Hollywood, right?
Yeah, Mel Brooks.
Larry David. Could be Larry David.
Larry be good. All right. Shifting back to Australia, breaking news is that our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has just called an election. So plenty of more of that in the coming weeks on Instant Experts.
Yeah, can't wait for that one.
I got to tell you, Honk, after all the shenanigans in the US, it seems like a lightweight bout best.
It's got a touch of the Police Boys Club under 12 C divisions, doesn't it?
Foreman, Frazier, it ain't.
It is not.
I mean, it's...
So our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, and it is, look, and I'll nail my colours at the mast. I have historically been a progressive voter. It is very unusual in Australia to lose an election after one term. He's got a serious shot. I mean, his big budget announcement the other night, his big announcement was what?
A $5 a week tax cut.
So he's basically covering like 7/8 of a coffee.
I could nearly buy a coffee.
Almost buy a coffee,
I can buy a regular cappuccino, maybe. Now, not a large one.
The Conservatives in Australia, the Liberal Party, which is our Conservative Party, they have a 30-point lead in the polls on trustworthiness on economic management. So does the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, does he come out firing with a calm economic plan, or does he do crazy shit? What can you guess what he's done?
What's he done?
His crazy shit, his plan is, his big announcement has got nothing to do with the economy. His announcement is any people in Australia who've got dual citizenship who commit a crime will be deported. That's his big plan, which is great, except Australia's one of the most multicultural countries on earth. Virtually every second fucking person in the country is a dual citizen.
Yeah.
It happened to us.
We'll be recording from Ireland and Germany.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, more of that. But
anyway, it's basically a potato versus a wet lettuce. So,
totally.
We'll cover it, but
totally
without much passion in coming weeks. Right, now on to the fun part of the show, sport. The West Tigers, the world's favourite football team now.
Yeah.
It's going viral around the globe.
We've talked about it every week.
Big win on the weekend against the Dolphins from Queensland.
Yes.
Now fourth on the ladder.
What was the score? 30-18, wasn't it?
30-18, yeah, very solid win.
Yeah, and the rest of the competition on the ladder, they're getting nervous, right?
Well, some teams are already cracking under pressure.
Well, the story, but this...
Yeah, the South Sydney, the Rabbitohs are, a premiership contender, we thought. Their mascot has lost the plot.
He's an 80-year-old man. He's been doing the character's called Reggie the Rabbit. He's been doing it for 20 years. And on the weekend, he got into a scuffle with a kid like 8 years old.
Got into a fight with an 8-year-old kid.
He punched him in the face.
So as the Tigers are mounting a relentless assault on the premiership, the Bunnies are mounting a relentless assault on the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it's just beyond belief.
Well,
anyway.
The Tigers have got them where they want them.
Yeah.
So
once again, Tigers can't lose.
March to glory.
March to glory.
So with the Tigers going from losers to winners, we had to cast around to see who the biggest losers are.
Yeah, so it brings us to another one of the 6,000 codes of football we play in Australia. This is another code called not the NRL but the AFL.
A little something for our southern state listeners.
Yeah,
and
of particular interest to Henry, since Henry lives in Melbourne where they play this alleged sport.
That's right, and the big story so far is that two of the big teams are struggling. The Swans in Sydney, which is theoretically our team, grand finalists. They've won one, lost two.
Yeah. Although we've got a theory about this, of course, which is that nobody in Sydney actually cares about AFL, understands what the rules are, gives a shit. And the only reason they like the Sydney Swans is because they're trying to say they're too classy to like rugby league, NRL, and they don't want to look too fancy pants and like rugby union, another one of the sports we play, so they claim to like the Swans. But when the Swans win, the stands are full, 60,000 people. When the Swans lose, there's 7 people and a dog, basically.
Everyone's going to the Wallabies, exactly. Yeah. So Swans fans on the verge of going back to rugby. And then in Melbourne, the big one is Carlton. Now, Carlton's a big club. Nearly made the grand final a couple of years back. High hopes for this year. 29-year premiership drought.
Yeah, it's bad.
And now they're struggling again unexpectedly. They're 0-2.
Yeah, but you know my view on this. This is you mentioned to me this is the Italian team, but even better known, they are the Jewish team. They're the team the Jewish fans in Melbourne follow. So this team going this badly. 29 years, that's anti-Semitism. That's clearly what it is.
By their own players.
Yeah, well, these Jew haters, they're good. I mean, they go deep. They go really deep. They hire the players. I mean, it's...
Well, happily, I've tipped against them, and I'm leading the tipping comp at my local, the Morning Star Hotel, with 15 out of 19 so far.
Is this the fucking reason we're talking about the AFL? So you can get in the fact that you're leading the tipping comp at your local pub?
I'm sure this is absolutely fascinating for all our listeners around the world, Honky.
Yes.
Now, we don't do it very often, but a rare moment of sincerity on Instant Experts.
Yes.
George Foreman.
Fair warning.
We are actually big boxing fans, both of us, particularly the Honk.
But especially of George Foreman.
Yeah, I mean, what a great champion. He was in the golden age of 1970s boxers with Frazier and Foreman and Ali.
And then when he lost to Ali, he became a preacher, a Christian minister for 10 years, came back to boxing, and then 20 years after he won the world title the first time, he won it again at the age of 48.
Legit, in the 10th round, and he'd been fighting for 3 years in his comeback.
Famous story. He was asked, was that fight fixed? He goes, yeah, I fixed it with my right hand, real good. And also, of course, legendary multimillionaire entrepreneur.
Yes.
Gave his name to the George Foreman grill.
The lean, mean, fat, burning grilling machine.
Yeah, indeed.
A big shout out to George. His funeral's coming up. Who are going to be the pallbearers, Honky, do you think? Well, how are they going to carry him? He's a big guy.
It was a big guy. Well, look, it's a complication, right? Because all those great guys, you said to me, from that era, Ali, and obviously Foreman, but, Ron Lyle and Larry, Frazier, they're all gone.
Norton.
Ken Norton gone. They're all dead. So, I don't know how they're going to carry him. As you said, he was a big guy. I mean...
Is there some other way they could do it?
Well, I think I think in his will there's some ingenious solution, which is he didn't want to be buried or cremated. I think they want to grill him. They want to grill him. And also the other thing is, he's a big guy, as you said, big guy. But if you tilt the coffin, full of fat runs out, and then
get him down to 50 kilos.
Yeah, then it's easy to bury.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, much love. One of the legends of the sport and a favourite of ours.
But we have to mention that you would think that what's going to happen now is we're going to play some song. George did a sitcom. You would think we might play the theme song from the sitcom. He did a short-lived sitcom late night in about 93, 94. The sitcom theme is absolutely awful. Now, Ali recorded an album of songs.
Yeah.
Joe Frazier toured as a recording artist. Larry Holmes was a singer.
Jeez.
Ken Norton was an actor and a singer. Apparently not Foreman, you would think. But in fact, and you can look it up, he appeared as we've both seen this, the Venus flytrap.
On The Masked Singer. Yeah. Well worth a look.
What was he singing?
He was singing a song by The Temptations.
Yeah, Get Ready, wasn't it? Get Ready, here I... That one,
Well, look it up. All right. Vale, George Foreman, a genuine legend of the sport and a favourite of the show.
Yeah.
That's all we've got time for. Thanks again for your support. Please like, subscribe, and especially share on your WhatsApp groups and Signal groups if you've got them.
Yep.
Especially the top secret ones. We like that. Social media.
Yep.
And follow us on all these social media channels, which I think we now have, Honky.
We do. We will put on our show notes that we've now got. We're on Facebook now. We're on Instagram. Finally, we've come into the 21st century. We'll put our link tree up so you can see all the places you can, follow us. All the places you can hear the podcast. We'll put all that up. Have you mentioned X? That we're on X?
Internet Experts X.
Yes.
And retweet. And
video. Talk about video.
And get in touch. And we got May Musk on video, so look that up on TikTok.
And on YouTube, that's right.
And off we go. Now, to take us out, Honk, we were going to do George Foreman in the Venus flytrap.
Yeah, but the problem was normally most of the songs we finish with are normally terrible, and he was too good.
He was pretty good, too good to make the cut. So what have you got for us?
Well, a few weeks ago when we played that notorious, awful thing that AI put together, the song about how Trump was saving Gaza, was called Trump Gaza, with him and Elon Musk eating hummus and dancing in dollars and so forth. So now another right-wing nutjob has struck again. A, quote, aspiring stand-up comedian has made this country music clip, but this is not stand-up. This is apparently serious. She's done a country song about what a great guy Elon Musk is. Has to be heard to be believed.
And it's not parody, you're saying?
It's not parody, it's for real. It's truly terrifying. We're going to have to leave you with that.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week because, as we always say,
stupid never sleeps.
Stupid never sleeps. We'll see you next week, and here is that song, and we apologise in advance.
He gave us cars that drive so fast, made rockets built to blast. Oh, thank you, Elon Musk. He took over Twitter's reign. He saved free speech for all, eliminating woke pain. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. Let's occupy Mars. Let's occupy Mars, and making kids to keep mankind alive.
Mr. Foreman, why in the world did you come on
Instant Experts?
The greatest show on earth.
Yeah! That's George Foreman saying that.
That's right.